Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today we are back to work over here on the seller's drill grinder, the 6G drill grinder. And today I want to finish getting this top assembly put back together, back on the machine, and hopefully try to wrap up some loose ends and, I don't know, maybe get this thing finished up. We'll see. Yeah, so we have come in here, this arm on here that the tailstock runs on that holds the drill bit, it had needed some work up here because the top casting had been broken in the past, had been repaired, but this whole thing was really loosey-goosey, sloppy. So we actually lined it up, bored out the hole here, a little bit oversized, welded up an area here on this post to make it fit, to get this nice and tight and snug like it needs to be. Much improved. Now we're ready to put all this back together and get it back over on the machine. So let's get in here and see what we can get done. I got most of my parts laying here, ready to start trying to assemble. All right, so I need to remember how all this goes. So if I remember right, this arm here goes on this side. This one, yep, goes on this side, and they mesh up here in the top, and they kind of hinge. Let's see what we need to do here. We've got some pins here that all these rotate on. I'm trying to remember which one goes where. I want to say the taller one fits on this side because it has to go through that top piece as well. I'm talking to myself here as much as anybody, guys. Well, let's start with this outside jaw here. See, that's this one here. I'm going to kind of put it up onto the piece here on the top. We'll go ahead and kind of drop this back down where it goes. Yeah. And this pin should line up and go down through there if I can get it all lined up. All right, that's got that one, and this arm meshes up underneath it. Like such. I do believe. And this pin drives in this side. This is a copper hammer, so it's softer than the metal that we're driving on. And that pivots like it should, yep. How all this goes. All right, that drops in here. And there's a piece that goes up inside of this. Let me go find that. All right, so this screws up in here. There's a piece that goes behind it back here. It captures it in there. The keyway goes in. And then our knob should go on here like this. Got a washer on the end. And a nut back here. It tightens all that in place. That's not tightening up as tight as it should get there. I'm wondering if the, I don't know what we need to do here. So I was getting a little play in this, and then I finally figured out there's a washer that goes on the back side of this. I thought it went on the front side of it, but that kind of takes up that slop in there. So I think that's going to fix our problem. It just caused a little bit larger diameter, and this washer wouldn't go all the way up in there to capture that in place, and that's going to be a tight fit. So I think we're good there. Let me put my keyway back in here again, and this key was kind of designed to go right up against that washer back there. So let me nut here to tighten it all up. Don't want it to be too tight. That feels good. And now there's no play on that end. And let me get my jaws meshing again here like they need to. Let's see. And there's a brass nut that fits down in here that the Acme thread should fit up on. Let's see, I think it goes the other way. Well, maybe it doesn't matter. There we go. Now that's all meshed together and pulling both jaws in at the same time, which is what we want. All right, I like that. Now I need to get this top piece bolted down right here. Should be a nut. Let me go find that. I just got a brand new nut to go on there rather than, I couldn't find the old original one. There we go. I like it. That mechanism pretty well put back together. I need to put my jaws in here. I'm going to flip it over to do that. These are the little jaws that actually hold the drill bit, and they come in different sizes. I've only got the ones that came with my machine. I would really like to replace these, but you can't find them anymore. At least I haven't been able to. There used to be a guy that had a bunch of parts for these with my other seller's drill, drill grinder, my smaller one. Whenever I got a hold of him and was able to get some parts from him and stuff, but I heard that he passed away, and I don't know whatever happened to all his inventory of tools or parts and whatever, but anyway, I'm not aware of anywhere you can buy these. I wish I could find a set. I wish I could even find a set of blueprints to get some made or make some myself, either way. But if anybody knows of a source for these things, let me know. And like I said, there were several different sizes of these jaws that you could get for this grinder. The set that I've got here are probably the most common ones, and really for using the larger drill bits, which is primarily what I'm going to use this for anyway. But they did have some different jaws for smaller drill bits. In my case, again, since I've got the smaller seller's drill grinder, I will probably do my smaller bits on it and not have to worry about that. But anyway, let me get those tightened up and we'll have those reinstalled. We're looking kind of in the bottom of this now. This is where it rotates. There's a center here and there's a center that I'm going to put in on the end, and this pivots on that center. Now, when I got this, it had the remains of a little rubber bumper back here in the back. This is tapped out. I think it's 3/4 inch, or I can't remember what. I measured the thread, but it's made where a little rubber bumper threads in there. I was not able to find a rubber bumper that was that size, but I found one that basically will just kind of drop down in here that it's a little bit undersized, but it is a rubber bumper nonetheless. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some epoxy and kind of epoxy that in there and let those threads kind of form itself and basically kind of rethread itself in there. But put that in there so that when this thing goes back, it just has something to bump up against it. Really, it's always pushing in, so I think if I just put some epoxy filler in there, it'll probably be just fine. It's not like it's pulling out on it, it's always pushing in. Let me, I'm probably just use some JB Weld and do that real quick. I think I got some of that handy. And I can tell that's a pretty nice fit with the epoxy in there, so we'll let that harden itself up. Well, I got this turned up. There's a counterweight that kind of bolts on the bottom. Here's a couple of socket cap screws that hold it in place. Let me go ahead and get this put back on. Okay. Now, this is the center. It's going to screw in here, and it's adjustable, and you basically just got to jam that on the end to kind of lock it in place. Let's see here. And I don't want to get in there too far until I kind of get it over there on the part so I can tighten that in place. So let's go put this on the machine. The center is just starting to come out back here. All right, let's see if we can manage to get this on here. This kind of fits up on that center. This one back here. I think I'm going to have to back it out just a little bit to get it to drop on. All right, there we go. And I am tightening this up. Before I get it completely tight, I do want to put a little grease on these bearings in here, these little centers. Just a little dab on each end. Okay. Bring it back down. I'm just trying to make sure I don't over tighten it. Not much in play on there now. I don't even think it'll take a whole turn. A little bit more. Yeah, so that's pivoting real nice. I don't feel any in play in that at all. It's probably about where it needs to be. I'm going to just give it just a little bit more. I can feel it tightening up a little bit right there. That's probably all we need to do. That's a little bit too much. Beautiful. All right, we'll get a wrench, tighten up that lock nut, And there we go. That's great. And that should be locked in place. Beautiful. So this piece right here fits up onto this arm that we just repaired, and there's a key back here in the back that holds this in a position. There's a center in here that will engage in the back center hole of your drill bit, and that's what supports the back of it. Now, I need to make one little modification to this. Again, you got the keyway in here, and there's a key, but there's nothing to hold this key in place. And I was noticing that before that when you slid this thing, that the key would slide out of this. And what I need to do is I need to capture that in there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill and tap 2 little holes and actually screw this in so that I got a screw that's holding that key into the slot so that it can't come out. So I'm going to go over to the drill press and just drill and tap 2 little holes in there. I'm probably just going to do it off camera, but that will, again, make that key part of this assembly where it can't come loose and slide around in there like it's doing right now. Let me go knock that out. So hopefully you can see here, got a couple of socket cap screws in here that just goes down into the key, holds it in place, and keeps it from sliding out. Makes it all one piece. And my part fits up on here, slides back and forth nicely. A little grabby in that keyway, but not too bad. I might need to get a file or something and just kind of clean up that key back here in the back, but I think it'll work fine. And I need to put my center back in there. This is the center that goes in here. You got one end that has got a center that fits into a point, and if you got a hole in a center drill in the back of your drill, the other one is kind of conical shaped, where if you have a small drill bit, you can just fit it down in there and it will fit down into that little conical shape and stay centered up on the shaft. So for most of what we're doing, we'll be using the point with this one. Let's see here, I need to loosen this set screw up on the bottom, center up on the bottom. Got that put in. Also just going to take a file while I got that off. And I'm just going to deburr this key back here in the back. It was a little sticky. Let's see if that helps this thing slide on and off. Oh yeah, that's much better. And there's a set screw that goes in there. In the pictures, it looks like there was originally a knob kind of like this up on the top, but that is gone and got this little homemade set screw. I may see about trying to adapt something a little bit different, but that just tightens up on there. You can adjust the length depending on the length of your drill bit. Tighten that up. And again, your drill bit is just supported between here and those little teeth up in the front. And then that swings a arc that you use to sharpen your bit. So I think we about got this all finished up. Well, when I took this apart, I had the serial number tags. There was a serial number tag, and then there was this lubrication tag that was on here. And yeah, I could put those back on, but I decided instead to have some reproduction tags made. And I got these done by Tom Utley over at Bond Industrial. I'll put a link to his information down in the description if you're interested. But Tom makes these reproduction tags. He specializes in one-off stuff like this. I just sent him my old tags. He scans these digitally, and then he will go in there and recreate the artwork. And then he uses a fiber laser to actually etch the tags, and then he powder coats the backing back in them to bring them back to the original depth and everything, just like the originals. And so anyway, we're going to put on some new tags here and really make this restoration kind of pop, which is what I like to do. Now these are drive screws, and I'm grabbing here these drive screws. They just kind of got a little serration in there. They kind of twist in and out, and this is what most of these tags would have been put on with back in the day. That one down there doesn't want to quite line up. All right, I think we got it there. Take a punch and drive all these home. Very good. And we got the other tag over here as well. This one has the lubrication information on it. Go ahead and kind of get it just pinned up there, and then we'll get those driven home. All right. Beautiful. Love it. Tom always does such an excellent job. Just a little bit closer look at those tags, guys. I love them. Again, that's the original. There's the new one. There's the original. And there's the new one. They look awesome. So we're on the side of the machine and need to work on the coolant drainage system here. So there's a piece of pipe that fits up through this hole that goes up into a nipple on the inside. Man, that's kind of tight. Why is that so tight? There we go. All right. Need to put some pipe dope on that. Let me get up in there and I'll do that. And we'll screw that in place. I don't know why that's so tight right there. Yeah, this would have been easier if I had remembered to do this before I put the pipe in. I wasn't expecting to have that problem. All right, that is threading in. Do I go another round or do I leave well enough alone? It's just a drain. It's not like it's under pressure. I think I'm just going to leave it right there. And then got the little downspout that goes down into the coolant tank. And we'll go ahead and put it on as well. And that ought to do it. And my OCD is going to drive me crazy because that's just ever so slightly not square. That's pretty good right there. All right. That's got that in. Now I need to plumb up my actual coolant pump over here. Figure out how I'm going to do that. I'm starting the process here of plumbing up this coolant pump. Basically, I need to come out of this up to right here. There's an elbow. This is just basically just going into a blind hole right here. That's just strictly for mounting purposes. Then it'll come up and have an elbow that goes over to a coolant piece up on the top up there. But we just need to kind of plumb our way up. So I'm going to start. I've got a close nipple, an elbow, and then a union. I went and bought as much new pipe as I could, although they were kind of short on stuff. They didn't have any unions in 3/8 inch size, so I'm actually recycling the old one, but it seems like it's in pretty decent shape. So let me kind of get some pipe dope on these pieces, and we'll start working our way out here. All right, that's going to be good right there. So now, got another close nipple here. Plug in right here. And right on the other side is where I'm going to put my union. This union will allow you to take this apart without having to undo all the plumbing. Very handy for doing maintenance work. If I ever need to take this pump off, I don't have to pull all the plumbing out to get to it. So we'll just, I'm going to pull this off right now. And we'll tighten that up. Sitting here looking at it, I'm already too far over to be able to bend back up with that union in there. Let me see what I can do. I might be able to rotate the pump and have it come out and up. I may have a little bit more room going back this way. All right, let's turn this over this way. Far. I may have to do it this way. Not crazy about that, but it gives me more flexibility. I think I can make that work. It also puts my electrical connections back farther to the back, which I kind of like. Let's see if we can make this work. All right, I got a street elbow into my union here, and that looks like it's going to line up pretty darn close over here to this. So we should be able to come down from there, have an elbow come into here and connect all that. So let me figure out what length pipes I need. I may have to cut some stuff and thread some stuff to make it work, but probably need to get that put in where it needs to go first. And I want it to stick out farther. Let me figure that out, and we'll start plumbing this out. Guys, I had to cut 2 pieces of pipe to the right length here, get the elbow in here. We've got a union down here to connect it all together. And I'm to the point here where I'm just ready to tighten up my union. Again, this union just gives a easy place to connect and disconnect. So if I need to, for example, pull this pump, I can just disconnect the union, pull the whole pump housing without having to undo all this piping, which would be difficult because you got to turn this stuff in, and you know, this is fixed, so there's really no way to spin it all in and end up where you need a place where you can disconnect occasionally and work on a section there, which is what the unions are good for. So anyway, we're going to tighten this union up. And I think we'll have our plumbing up at least up to the T up there. All right. There we go. That should give us a good tight fit. Now we just need to plumb on up the rest of the way. Well, let's take a look at where we're kind of at here. I've got all this plumbed up now. So we come out of the pump through a union up to the T here. Again, this T doesn't go anywhere. It just dead ends in here. This is just strictly for a mounting surface. And then we got a riser that comes up. I've got a valve here where we can manually shut off the coolant if we need to. And then it comes up to a hose barb. And this hose barb will actually come over to the cover up here that we're about to mount on here in just a minute. that the coolant will actually come out in. So anyway, I think we got the coolant pump pretty well done. I also went ahead and just got some wire coming into this. This is some waterproof wire into a waterproof fitting here. And this is going over to the electrical connector and box. I've already got it all hooked into a motor starter in there, so we can turn the coolant pump on and off from the control panel over on the other side. So I think our coolant system is pretty much finished up. Let's see what we can wrap up the guard over here and take this thing for a test spin. So over here at the spindle now, this is where the wheel will mount, that with the grinding wheel and all that. There is a cover that covers this up that also has the coolant that will be directed toward the area where we're working. But the guard fits up on a couple of rails. These are just some rods that are pressed into a hole here. And there's two of these, and it just kind of slides in and out on it. Now, the original ones, these were all bent down here in the bottom. I can see where something had bumped this at some time or another, and it had bent them. So I just went ahead and made two new ones. I didn't show this on film or anything. It was just basically, this is some 5/8 inch rod, turned down to 1/2 inch down here. And I actually used some chrome plated rod here just for corrosion resistance as well as just holding up to the wear. So these just get kind of tapped into place here. And I got a little bronze hammer here. Next, I want to mount my grinding wheel on here. This is a plate type wheel. Because of the coolant and the corrosive atmosphere that this is in, I'm just going to put a little bit of anti-seize in here. This will just kind of give me hopefully a little bit of a layer between the two, kind of a little bedding thing that will hopefully kind of make it where it comes back apart a little bit easier. I had a hard time getting it apart this last time, and that should help just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just using the wheel that came off of it. This has still got a good bit of life left in it. I do have a brand new wheel, but I'm going to hold it in reserve for down the road. So let me get these holes lined up. And then I've got my bolts, and I'm going to put a little anti-seize on these. And also, these are new bolts that I'm replacing this with, and these are stainless steel bolts. Again, just trying to do what I can for corrosion resistance here. So let me get all these mounted on, and we'll get that tightened up. Now let me go around and tighten these up. Move those in just a little bit. There we go. This cover just slides up on there, and there's a set screw here on the side that you can tighten this up and give you some clearance for the wheel in here. This is just a guard. Let me find that set screw or whatever my adjustment is down there. Well, guys, I think we've about got this thing knocked out. So I got my coolant line connected up here. I went ahead and put an elbow in on this and just ran a line through there. That should have plenty of room in there to, when you're moving this back and forth, to flex. I got the belt on it. Let's see what else I did. I finished up the last of the electrical work. Just had to put in the main wire, the power coming in. Finished tightening up some little screws, this, that, and the other. And yeah, I think she's done. Hit the start button. Starts right up. The coolant pump down here, there's a switch on the bottom. That turns the coolant pump on. I do not have coolant in here right now. We're going to put that in here once I get this moved where it's going. But let's see, I greased everything. I went around and hit all my grease fittings. Got a drill bit in here, just kind of looking at everything. It looks like everything is set up like it needs to be. I think we're pretty much through with this. Now, there is a cover that goes on the back of this, and I've still got to get the paint stripped off of it and get that painted and put back on here, but that's cosmetic. And I'm going to do that when I have some help here that can help me work on that. So, and then the other thing is get the coolant pump filled up and actually use it for real. And as much as I hate to say this, I'm not going to actually use this right now because it's sitting up on a pallet. I need to get it where it needs to go. I'm going to have help to do that. I've got some help coming in the next week or so. I think next week I got some help that's going to be here, and we'll take care of doing that then. I might do a little follow-up video once we kind of get the last little things done. Let this see you guys actually see it in action. But for all intent and purposes, it's done. Mechanically, from a functionality standpoint, it is done. Like I said, just a few little cosmetic things to do, get it, put it where it's going to go, fill up the coolant pump, and actually grind a drill bit. So coming soon with that. Guys, this has been a fun project. I'm glad to have it knocked off the list because I got other things I need to be working on. But like I say all the time, or I have said before, it seems like I'm always working, doing jobs for someone else. I don't have much time to get my own stuff done. And this was a machine that I needed to get knocked out because I need it. This is a tool that I really need in the shop to be able to use from time to time. And it really feels good to have this thing done. I've got some more machines that are my machines that I need to do to find the time to work on them. Unfortunately, with many of this stuff, it's like, what do I need right now? And if I need it right now, it becomes a priority. If I don't need it right now, it seems like something else becomes a priority. There's only one of me and limited amount of time and too much work to do, which I guess is a good problem to have, but it does limit what I can get done for myself. So anyway, guys, with that, that's a wrap today. We will follow up with this when I finally get it all totally put together and show it in action. But as far as restoration work, I think we're done. And I'm very happy with how it turned out. The machine looks fabulous. At least just running it, it seems to be running good. Like I said, until we actually make some cuts and actually use it, it's hard to say for sure exactly how it's going to work, but all indications are it's going to be just fine. So excited to have this ready to go and be able to use when we need it. Guys, with that, that's a wrap. As always, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that bell icon. Leave a comment down below. All that really helps out a lot. Thank you to those who support the site financially through Patreon and PayPal. There's links for that in the description if you want to help out there, because it does enable me to take the time to shoot these videos. I had someone ask me the other day, how long does it take me to do a video? And I got to thinking about it. On average, and it varies on project, but on average, when you factor in not just the work being done, but you factor in the editing, you factor in the video stuff that kind of goes on behind the scenes, you factor in the things that it takes to run a YouTube channel, just sitting at the computer doing things. I mean, it takes a lot of time. I'm guessing, you know, a 30-minute video, anywhere from 8 to 12 hours. Yeah, it takes a lot of time. So, and only, out of that 8 to 12 hours, only a small fraction of it is of me actually working, doing stuff. So yeah, it makes getting things done slow, but the payoff is I get to share it with you guys. And that's where your help comes in, if you can help out through the Patreon, PayPal and stuff, because I could be out here just working all the time and making my money that way. But I choose to share it with you guys. So if you can help out, do so. If you can't, we'll be all right. But it is greatly appreciated. Guys, we're going to get out of here. Catch you on the next video again, as always. Thanks for watching.